Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem, and in today's top stories. Israeli and Lebanese delegations held their first meeting today as part of negotiations under U.S. mediation for the purpose of resolving a bilateral maritime boundary dispute. Greek Foreign Minister Nikos Dendias emphasized his country's anger over Turkey's decision to re-engage in offshore energy exploration in disputed waters, reiterating his depiction of Ankara as the common denominator to every problem in the region. Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu lashes out at his Swedish counterpart Ann Linde for urging his country to disengage from northern Syria. Israeli and Lebanese delegations held their first meeting at UNIFIL's headquarters in Ankara, southern Lebanon today, as part of negotiations under U.S. mediation for the purpose of resolving a maritime boundary dispute between the two neighboring countries. Today's meeting was chaired by U.S. Assistant Secretary for Near Eastern Affairs David Schenker. However, he is set to be replaced in future meetings by Ambassador John DeRocher, who was appointed to lead the American team after completing his term as the U.S. Ambassador to Algeria. The refer to negotiations focus on a bilateral dispute regarding a maritime triangle that covers an area of approximately 850 square kilometers or 328 square miles, commonly referred to as Block 9. It is important to note that over the past decade, Israel and Lebanon have been conducting negotiations on the disputed maritime territory to no avail. As early as 2012, Israel was willing to hand over to Lebanon, as a perceived compromise, over 50% of the disputed area. Nevertheless, under immense pressure by the Iranian proxy Hezbollah, Lebanon reluctantly refused. Since then, Beirut authorities have tried to sign contracts for gas exploration with international companies in defiance of Israel, including energy corporations from France, Italy, and Russia. Consequently, Jerusalem relayed clear messages to Paris, Rome, and Moscow that it would not consent to any offshore exploration in the contentious waters unless the dispute of maritime boundaries is resolved. Meanwhile, in light of the growing economic distress in Lebanon, coupled with the U.S. maximum economic pressure campaign against Iran and its proxies, Hezbollah withdrew its persistent objection to any form of talks with the Jewish state. Nevertheless, Hezbollah emphasized that the talks must remain exclusively technical to avoid an impression of a Lebanese attempt to normalize its relations with Israel. Separately, a senior Israeli official highlighted in a statement to Israel's army radio that these are not peace or normalization talks, but rather a technical matter. He further stressed that if the Lebanese show up for the talks prepared, they will find us to be prepared and realistic as well. And while Israeli-Lebanese talks are underway, the IDF is preparing for its largest annual exercise, which is scheduled to take place in the near future. The military drill aims to simulate a war in Israel's northern sector against Hezbollah in Lebanon. Speaking to senior Israeli officers on the anticipated exercise, at the backdrop of a rising number of confirmed coronavirus cases within the Israeli military, IDF Chief of General Staff Lieutenant General Aviv Kochavi stressed, quote, "I'm aware of the risks, but you should remember that no one tells us when war is supposed to break out. We have to make certain that the IDF's engines are working. We'll do everything we can in order to limit the number of infections, but the exercise will be held." The IDF's top officer was further quoted as saying, "The fact that the coronavirus is here cannot paralyze the IDF. We've already canceled exercises and we have to train and upgrade the troops. It is my responsibility. I manage the risks, and the IDF's fitness must not be undercut." Subsequently, the IDF spokesperson's unit issued a statement, quote, "The military must preserve and improve its readiness for war, even at the cost of managing risks in the age of the coronavirus. The IDF does not have the privilege of not being ready at all times. Special health regulations have been tailored for the exercise in order to safeguard the participants' health." Turning now to Athens, where Greek Foreign Minister Nikos Dendias reiterated his country's anger over Turkey's decision to re-engage in offshore energy exploration, a mere several days after the Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu pledged to set a date for exploratory dialogue to resolve the contentious maritime dispute.
Με τη χθεσινή νέα παράνομη ναύτεξ που εξέδωσε για έρευνες μόλις 6,5 μίλια από τις ακτές μας, η ηγεσία της Τουρκίας απέδειξε ότι δεν είναι ένας αξιόπιστος συνομιλητής. Αντί για διάλογο, αντί για τις διερευνητικές επαφές, για τις οποίες είχαν δεσμευτεί να προτείνουν ημερομηνία, επέλεξαν και πάλι την κλιμάκωση.
Speaking alongside his Canadian counterpart, François-Philippe Champagne, the Greek top diplomat reiterated his rebuke of Turkey, dubbing it the common denominator to every problem in the region.
Από τη Λιβύη μέχρι το Ιράκ, από το Αιγαίο, την Ανατολική Μεσόγειο, τη Συρία, τον Ναγκόρνο Καραμπάχ, η Τουρκία είναι ο κοινός παρονομαστής σε κάθε πρόβλημα της περιοχής μας. Απέδειξε ότι οι επικλήσεις για διάλογο δεν είναι παραπροσχήματα. Η διεθνής κοινότητα θα πρέπει να την κρίνει. Να την κρίνει με βάση τις πράξεις και όχι τις διακηρύξεις.
The Canadian top diplomat, for his part, relayed Ottawa's offer to serve as an impartial broker between Ankara and Athens, hoping to alleviate tensions between the two NATO allies.
I'm one of those who believe that the dialogue is the way forward, that you resolve issues at the negotiating table. And certainly in my discussion with my dear friend Nikos, we were talking about things that, Canada can play as a role. I think that people see a transatlantic partner, an honest broker, who can certainly put proposal forwards. We have been engaging since day one with the NATO Secretary General, and I share that with Nikos about what we've been doing and try to mediate because we understand that NATO unity is important, but we also understand that we need to make sure that we convey the message to Turkey that we want them to be firmly anchored in the Euro-Atlantic alliance.
It is important to know that Germany, which spearheaded the objection to punitive EU sanctions against Turkey, hoping to resolve the maritime dispute through dialogue, voiced its displeasure with Ankara's latest actions. In a sign of its displeasure, Berlin's Foreign Minister Heiko Maas cancelled a visit to Ankara, traveling only to Greece and Cyprus instead.
Ich habe mich entschieden, heute nur nach Nikosia und Athen zu reisen, und das ist eine ganz bewusste Entscheidung, gerade im Licht der aktuellen Entwicklungen, über die wir gerade gesprochen haben. Ich habe das eben schon einmal gesagt, es liegt im Moment an der Türkei, die Bedingungen für Gespräche zu schaffen, um eine Atmosphäre zu schaffen, in der Sondierungsgespräche überhaupt erfolgversprechend sein können. Und das geht nur ohne einseitige Provokation. Ich bin weiter davon überzeugt, dass die strittigen Fragen, die zu klären sein müssen, nur im direkten Dialog miteinander ausgeräumt werden können. Und deshalb ist die Bundesregierung auch weiterhin bereit, jedwede Bemühungen zu diesem Zweck zu unterstützen.
Minister Maas further dubbed Turkey's renewed exploration as a severe setback to German efforts to de-escalate the situation. Turning to the Turkish capital Ankara, where Turkey's top diplomat, Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu, lashed out at his Swedish counterpart, Ann Linde, for urging his country to disengage from northern Syria.
I have been clear about our position regarding northeast Syria, where the strong EU position remains the same. We continue to urge Turkey to withdraw.
We urge Turkey to withdraw from Syria. Yani Türkiye'yi Suriye'den çekilmesi için uyarıyoruz. Bir kere diplomaside böyle urge kelimesini kullanmak tepeden bakmacı bir yaklaşımdır. Doğru bir yaklaşım değil. O kelime yanlış. Call on diyebilirsiniz. Tamam. Ama ben şimdi şunu sormak istiyorum. Siz kimden aldığınız yetkiyle Türkiye'nin Suriye'den çekilmesini istiyorsunuz ya da Türkiye'yi uyarıyorsunuz?
Minister Cavusoglu went on to accuse Sweden and the European Union of holding double standards in all that pertains to Ankara's activities in its jihadist-plagued southern neighbor. Stockholm's top diplomat responded to her Turkish counterpart by taking a jab at Ankara's treatment of journalists in particular and freedom of speech in general, to which Cavusoglu once again grilled Linde for Turkey's perceived European double standards.
I guess all the journalists understand we have a very frank and open discussion, and I will just hope that everybody in Turkey will have the possibility to express their views as frank as you are doing, Minister. Thank you.
Evet, Türkiye'de herkes özgürce düşüncesini söyleyebilir ama özgürlük konusunda çifte standardımız yok. Yani İsveç gibi Avrupa ülkelerinde DAEŞ mensubu haklı olarak ifadesini özgürce söyleyemez. Bir kere terörist ama PKK olduğu zaman veya FETÖ'cü olduğu zaman söyler. Bunun özgürlük ifadesiyle ilgisi yok. Sadece Batı içindeki çifte standart için güzel bir örnektir. Teşekkür ediyorum.
Thank you for watching us. As part of TV7's prayer initiative, I would like to encourage you today to join myself and the team here in Jerusalem to lift up Lebanon once again in prayer for its salvation and peace, in addition to our ongoing prayers, of course, for the peace of Jerusalem, the salvation of Israel, and for all those who are impacted by the corona contagion and its economic ramifications worldwide. Separately, I would like to reiterate my deep appreciation for all of you who keep us in your prayers and support TV7 Israel financially. I'm Jonathan Hassan, wishing you an Erev Tov u'Mevorach, and we will see you again tomorrow at the same time.